Thick dust, deep potholes, and 640 horsepower. This is Armin Schwarz's new working environment. We accompanied the former European rallying champion on one of his toughest races, the Prim 300, 482 kilometers through the desert. 1 week earlier, there is an inconspicuous auto shop in an industrial region in Escondido, California. For months now, the three-person team from All German Motorsports have been screwing and welding together 2 buggies for the Prim 300. The manager and secondary driver is 40-year-old Martin Christensen. A native of Denmark, he has participated in the desert races for 14 years, and along with his experienced crew, has already won the legendary Baja 1000. He developed and constructed the buggy himself.
Almost every component on this car is fully hand-built, and everything else is very, very unique to each individual car. So you can buy components like transmission, dampeners and stuff like that, but even the dampeners are very specific. You probably couldn't take these dampeners off of any car or off of this car and bolt it on any other car. They're very specific for this particular vehicle. This is definitely not something where you can just go out and buy it off the shelf and then bolt it together. It would never work.
The result is a true monster. The chassis of the buggy is constructed from a massive chrome molybdenum trellis tube frame. With the kind of demands placed on this car, it must not only be light, but above all stable. Suspension travel of up to 90 centimeters is meant to iron out the countless potholes. For their engine, the team puts its trust in power from Bavaria, an overhauled V8 from a BMW M5 that executes 640 horsepower.
We are the only one that runs a BMW engine in the off-road circuit. I think that this small displacement, because it's only 5 liters, and 5 liters for a normal street car in Germany will be big, but for off-road racing that's actually really small displacement. I would say most of the cars are at least 5.7 liter or above. I mean, there is nothing in this class that prevents us from putting a 10-liter engine in that makes 1,000 horsepower. It will be very easy and a lot less expensive than this engine, but I don't think it will work as good for the application that we're doing and trying to win races.
The second buggy's last test drive on the city streets. We can only hope that none of his neighbors will call the police. Even in the USA, there is no street authorization for such a monster. At full throttle, the buggy accelerates from 0 to 100 in 4.5 seconds, and that's on gravel. The top speed is about 220 on sand.
It's good. Car is nice. Feels good. It's always a little bit strange driving these things on pavement because they're not built for that. But the car is nice. Oil preparation is ready, and now we are ready for Prim.
Prim is a sleepy little town located in the middle of the Mojave Desert, 70 kilometers from Las Vegas. But when the off-road circus comes to town, the sand quakes. V8 engines rumble and the smell of petrol fills the air. Around 280 teams fight a grim, dusty battle over 463 kilometers. The All German Motorsports team has pitched their training camp in the desert to run tests under real conditions. Sand is not just sand. Every surface has its own particularities, which must be factored into the car.
Right 4, Darren, halt.
Armin goes over all the adjustments with second driver and team leader Martin Christensen. It feels good. We were able to increase the RPM a little, so we'll get more performance. It's during the fastest leg of the Prim when we need more performance. There are just a couple of sandy places where we need a lot of torque, and in the end, it's more important that we have more performance at top speed. From the first time Armin drove the buggy in 2006, he caught the bug. There are some similarities to the WRC, but several areas where it is far more unconventional. Passing somebody, you have to knock. Because you have so much dust behind you, the driver in front has no idea what's going on behind him. When you come up on him, you basically have to tailgate until he notices, whoa, there's somebody behind me. This is why all the cars have massive push bars. You can see that one's crashed in. That one's been totally busted too. We've used this one a lot already, and we ram it into the other guy's tailgate so he notices that there's somebody there. Most of them move over, and the ones that don't get pushed until it becomes too fast for them, and they end up moving over too. Vision is a big problem for the driver.
Rock, 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 rock.
The cause is the thick dust which obscures the driver's vision and sucks the breathable air away. This is why Armin has This is the supply pipe for ventilation in the helmet. The bottom line is that it's important that we're able to get fresh air during the drive, because we're driving for a long time and often behind someone into their dust. No vision, we need at least to be able to breathe. We've put a good filter system onto the helmet with small compressors that suck in the air, treat it, then inject it back into the helmet. The fine dust particles are not only bad for people, but also for the machinery. To ensure that the V8 pulls in only clean and dust-free air, the buggy is equipped with a large K&N air filter. It's made out of cotton, with a light aluminium mesh holding the form together. The two materials are folded into each other so that the desert dust gets caught on the largest possible surface area. The trimmed filter comes in a mold with quick-drying polyurethane adhesive. The edges are neatly trimmed before the filter is sprayed with special oil. The dust and dirt particles get caught in it and never reach the intake system. But the desert has more to offer than just dust. Potholes up to a meter deep are another serious challenge for the buggy.
I don't know the exact race mile, but
The mufflers and springs will be strained to the limit over the track's 300 miles. Extra large oil containers cool the muffler oil. Each wheel has two built-in overlapping springs. To achieve the enormous deflection of almost a meter, the buggy uses special Eibach springs. The primary material is high-quality spring steel. In the coiling machine, the so-called coiler gives the steel its actual spiral form. After the coil is wound, it is put in a tempering furnace for 25 minutes, reaching up to 400 degrees. The steel slackens, thus ensuring that the coil won't snap later. The coil is then bombarded with countless small steel pellets, which increase its lifespan and give the coiled spring its silver color. The ends are ground down so that the spiral fits into the support of the buggy. It is purified in a phosphorus bath that releases grease and finally is dried. The power coating protects the spring from dirt, water, and other corrosive elements. The springs are contracted to their full compression to prepare them for the future stresses of their daily work. Unscheduled stop during the last test drive. A sharp rock has ripped open the tire, despite several carbon fillings in the tire tread and the sides. A tire change is by far more pleasant for the driver in a buggy than in a world rallying car. When a tire has to be changed, the passenger jumps out. You, as the driver, stay seated. With the WRC car, you have to help, because you have to put the jack under the car and, well, it goes faster. The passenger does more here. My passenger, luckily Brian, also primed the car. He knows exactly what can happen to the car and how to repair it. So I have the best passenger for the off-road races, someone who knows the route well, who reads things well, who takes in the whole picture, and who has already repaired the car. It doesn't really get any better than that. Changing the heavy 30-kilo tire took 1.5 minutes. The crew is pleased. The last evening before the race brings everyone together at the barbecue. Most of the team members are here as volunteers. As is the case for the World Championship Rally, the motorists may drive the Prim 300 track once in advance. We have made some rally notes, rather a rally record. You cannot, however, use this everywhere because it often goes over open country where 30 tracks merge together in front of you, and at first you drive left and say, oh, it's bumpy here, let's go to the right instead, it's better there. Then you think it's best to drive in the middle. And nevertheless, you come out again completely to the left. They are all the same tracks, but we have simply chosen the tracks that we would like to and will drive. The car is good, the team is relaxed, we're primed and ready, and now we have until 1 o'clock tomorrow, and at 1, off we go. The next morning, the starting zone resembles a carnival. Kith and kin marvel at the fast cars. The so-called trophy trucks are the first to go. With up to 7 liters capacity and 850 horsepower, they are the fastest on the starting field. Directly after, Armin starts from the pole position in his buggy, in the Class 1 Unlimited. He has to slip by the faster pickups if he wants to win a place on the podium.
Minus 30, tightens 3 over crust and left 2 to 3 after crust.
For the next 2 hours and 231 kilometers, it's dust, dust, and more dust. At the beginning, Armin is able to drive at a fast clip. The track is still in good condition. But with each vehicle, the grooves become wider and the potholes deeper.
30, caution, through gate, left 2 tight.
The first trophy truck comes within impact range. Armin and his co-pilot Brian cannot see him yet, but they are already caught up in his dust cloud.
Straight, 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 straight.
Armin comes ever closer to the trophy truck, but the dust becomes thicker with each meter gained. At some places, the audience stands less than 2 meters away from the road. One is seldom so near to the action as at these events. Armin has caught up with the man in front, but the truck drivers don't see the buggy driving up from behind, cloaked in an immense dust cloud. Now he just has to slip by as quickly as possible. A close shave. Armin relays his current position regularly to the team. This way they always know whether he is still going or if he has a problem.
The corrected time should be 1:11 and 1:19, and B is car 100.
The radio messages are transmitted back to the box where Martin's wife, Jane, sits. In addition, a GPS program shows the current position of the vehicle. A team outpost announces the up-to-date positions.
They're saying that our car is the only car through pit B on the third lap here. So we are definitely both physically and my notes are not that accurate. Both physically and in the lead at this time, probably with 2 or 3 minutes.
The motto is, give it all. As long as the track conditions remain good, the team just has to beat the time and the competitors. The crew get ready in the box, changing the driver, refueling, checking the vehicle for slight damage, and making repairs when necessary. This all needs to be pulled off in a minute. Martin Christensen will take the wheel from Armin now. After 241 kilometers, he arrives at the box. And he is completely exhausted. In a few seconds, both 110-liter tanks are refilled. The buggy consumes 140 liters for 100 kilometers, and Armin, too, is in desperate need of refueling. Several minutes after the box stop, the former rally world champion can't even speak in his extreme exhaustion.
It takes a lot, huh? Yeah.
Yes, I knew it would be like this. The first round goes relatively well, the second round is harder. Never in your life would you believe that it could be so hard. The worst is having to drive in the dust. You can drive 30, 40 kilometers through dust and not come out, but you can't slow down. If you slow down once, then you'll never make it. You have to bite down like a terrier, never let go. Manager Martin Christensen and his co-pilot must now hold on to Armin Schwarz's initial advantage. This is a difficult undertaking. The more vehicles that burrow through the 161-kilometer-long circuit, the worse the track conditions become. The potholes test the suspension to their limits. Nevertheless, Martin demands everything of the buggy and yet again closes the gap.
Up here, just stay right. There's two lines right here as well. Go, go.
With this overtaking maneuver, Martin has driven forward into third place. Only one more round until the finish. One more round of sand guzzling. Suddenly, there is a radio message from the cockpit.
The cars are overheating and the shocks are gone.
We'll slow it down a little bit, and we're going to keep it up here as soon as we find out.
Jane is shocked and tries to calm her husband down.
It's been 8 minutes since you came through pit A, no class 1 yet. You have at least 8 minutes physical.
Okay, I need no more updates until there is a change. I'm driving the car at 80%. You give me updates if I need to change.
This means driving carefully for the last kilometers. At this moment, it is necessary that nothing else go wrong. The camera helicopter lands. Preparations are made in the finish zone. The first trophy truck comes to the finish, but where's Martin and his buggy? Martin did indeed make it. He takes his buggy over the finish line first, a clear class winner. Apart from the broken mufflers, he has also lost a tire, but it no longer matters. The main thing is that the lads have made it to the finish line. After 4.5 hours, the team has already won not only an impressive class victory for all German motorsports, they have even managed to overtake the runner-up in the trophy truck. Due to the tire damage, he overtook the buggy again just short of the finish line. Nonetheless, an unbelievable third place in the overall ranking.
The finishing rate is less than 35% usually in these type of races. So a lot of people show up with really, really expensive, well-prepared cars and never make it. It takes a lot of driving, a lot of preparation, and good teamwork to just even finish it. And then to come out and win the race is unbelievable, you know? Unbelievable.
I believe that for the whole last 1.5 rounds, there were no longer any shock absorbers because the track became so hard that everything was roasting. And everyone here has had such difficulties that they really just dragged in the last remainder of their cars and then just waited to see what place they came out in. But that's racing. It's not high-tech, where if something small breaks, then that's it. But here you can win even with major damage.
1, 2.